Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I am your host, Tiffany Cohen, and today we have a very, very special guest, an incredibly beautiful soul. And I am honored that she is here with all of us today. So please join me in welcoming Victoria Mann to the Spirit and Soul podcast. Welcome, Victoria.
Hi, I'm so honored to be here. What a beautiful, sacred space.
Well, we are so honored to have you here. And I love just number one, your energy is just so filled with light and love and just beauty. So I really want to get into like how you really started doing all the things that you're doing. Like introduce yourself, if you don't mind, to the
Yeah,
community and tell us your story.
100%. So, hello, everybody. My name is Victoria Mann, and I am the creator of nextlevelhappy.com, Next Level Happy podcast, Ayurvedic Alchemy certification 1 and 2. But I used to be the complete opposite of Next Level Happy. So, I guess we should start there. I used to think, that the work that Tiffany does, that other light workers listening to this do, that I do, I used to think that it was impossible. I used to think that feeling joy and happiness was only possible for other people. I used to roll my eyes at manifestation and especially physical energy healing as I grew up with my dad as a quadriplegic. So I grew up always kind of obsessed with miracles, always, obsessed with the spirit realm without realizing it. And then, as I'm sure, Tiffany, you understand, and people listening in, we all are born with these spiritual gifts, but we turn them off, right? So I had turned them off, always being super empathic, but not realizing my entire life since a little girl that I was taking on other people's energy. So I always struggled, like so many people do, unfortunately, with anxiety and depression. And so I reached a point where I was going through some really hard life experiences, as we all go through, because we choose to come to this earth to grow through these experiences. And so I now teach them, like A Course in Miracles does, as soul assignments, as the beautiful lessons that are meant to help ultimately guide us onto our best life path, right? But I couldn't see that at the time. And luckily I was willing to be willing. I wanted to quit life. I just wanted out of this earth experience. Earth felt like hell. And I was in cognitive behavioral therapy for 10 years. I was doing the things and it still wasn't working. And I didn't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. I just knew that there had to be a better way. And the universe guided me to a few books like The Secret, Deepak Chopra, Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. And thank goodness I didn't know I was following my intuition or my spirit guides at the time, but I was starting to follow a little bit of the next best inspired action step without realizing it, because I really was at my breaking point. And I remember thinking on my floor, okay, what if instead of ending my life, what if instead of quitting and giving up, what if I try one more time? And it was because I read a line that I want to share with everybody that's super powerful. And it comes from Deepak's Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, Dr. Deepak Chopra. And it says, the universe is in perfect order. So, this moment right now, whether you're miserable or completely joyous, however it is, it's exactly as it should be, because the universe is precise and it's bringing you to where you need to go. It wasn't phrased exactly like that, but that's how I integrated it through my understanding. So, for anybody out there, if you would, no matter what you're experiencing, I promise it's on purpose and it really is trying to give you what you want from this life experience. You really did come here because miracles and happiness are your birthright. Okay. So all we ever need is the willingness to be willing to allow the miracle. And so I would suppress all of that anxiety, all of that depression with, on top of the medication I was given, drugs, alcohol, all of the things. And I didn't think I had a problem with alcohol. And I went to a medium, right? And thank goodness, Paul Saladino, he goes, you are going to have all these amazing, he saw my best life path, what we help channel for people from the Akashic records, right? I see your best life path that's possible for you. And then the current frequency that you're on through your life choices. So I also teach Ayurvedic lifestyle. That's a whole story for another day because I used to not believe in any of that also. That was like I got cracked open when I went to study perfect health at the Chopra Center. But when I went to Paul Saladino, I'm being guided to share this. He was like, all these great things are going to come into your life. But girl, until you, like, he saw what I see for you, me right now, healthy, happy, living all these things. But he's like, if you don't get your free will choices, up to par, it's not going to happen. So I rolled my eyes, was like, oh, I went to this great medium, but he didn't know what he was talking about because I don't have a drinking problem, right? I don't have a drinking problem. And and actually, if anyone's listening to this and you are like, if you know anybody who is struggling or you yourself, don't give up before the miracle. Okay. Don't give up before the miracle. All we ever need is the willingness to be willing. And I didn't even know I was doing that at the time that I allowed in that miracle. Okay. So I went to try and prove him wrong. So I was like, this medium's wrong. This psychic medium's wrong. Right. Fast forward to today, he saw me teaching other psychic mediums that we all have access to our clairsenses. And it's just so funny. So, for the first time on New Year's Eve of 2013, I tried to prove him wrong for a year. For an entire year, every single day, I tried to not have a glass of wine because I wanted to prove him wrong. You don't know what you're talking about, right? I don't have a problem. And I realized I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And my drinking was bad, right? That's a whole other story. It wasn't just a little bit of wine, right? You identify if you can't stop, right? If you can't stop. It's like a dog that doesn't get full. And that was me. And I would black out every time. I would have bad experiences. But this time was different. When I woke up New Year's Day of 2014 and I didn't set an intention for this, right? It wasn't like I was like, and today we're going to start our life over. We're going to stop drinking and we're going to do it. I had really given up again, right? I had really given up. But instead of waking up with the same guilt and shame and anxiety and the feeling to just start drinking again to numb that feeling of embarrassment of, oh, what did you do the night before? We don't remember what we did on New Year's Eve last night. What happened? And I went to get my stuff from my friend's house. They wouldn't open the door. No one was speaking to me. And I went through a period of isolation. So if anyone's going through that, I promise, again, it is taking you to where you need. And if life's going really good, guess what? Get ready for it to keep getting even better, right? You get to keep expanding no matter where you're at on your path, right? And that's what all of my programs and Next Level Happy is about. There's endless next levels of happiness. But if you're like me and you can't even really believe that I tested all of these tools, all of these proven methods that Ayurveda teaches us can help us return to perfect health, return to happiness. And if it can happen for me and so many other people receive these miracles, it will happen for you. So decide and just open to that possibility today. So on New Year's Eve, after a year, all of a sudden, I just didn't want to have that glass of wine that for an entire year I couldn't not have. And that was
Wow.
a deal. Yeah, that was a big deal. And what was an even bigger deal was I followed my intuition. So everybody follow your inspired action above all logic. I was guided to someone in my sorority. So the people that are put on in front of you on social media, in real life, if it's pissing you off, if you see somebody that has what you want, it's to tell you that it's possible for you too. I used to feel like, oh, the universe forgot about me, all these other people, right? It's okay. You're just going to learn to flip the script on it. And someone that I knew in my life who likes to remain anonymous, so I know I don't share who she is, but I saw her go from how I felt or worse to she was married, she was thriving, her face was glowing, she was beautiful, she was so joyous, and I wanted that too. I wanted that too. And I thought, okay, if she can do it, maybe I can. So I decided to reach out to her, right? That was the action step. I was willing to be willing. And instead of just picking up the glass of wine New Year's Day out of habit, I decided to take a new action instead, even though it was scary. And I reached out to her, right? If you're in your spiritual business, right, it might be an action move for that. So just notice wherever you're at what that is. If you're manifesting love, maybe it's an inspired action step to just put the dating apps down or to get back on it, wherever you're at, right? Like just notice what this is bringing up for you. So, as I started to reach out to her, I did this work. I started to clean up all of my internal dialogue. And as I started to, I didn't know at the time, but I was cleaning up what Ayurveda teaches us is ama, or toxicity from our unprocessed emotions or unprocessed food, right? So as I started to do this work, all of a sudden I was a clear channel again. I started to receive all of the downloads on that New Year's of making my soul plan. I didn't know what that was. As I started to do the work, all of my clear channels started to open again very clearly. And I started to follow my intuition to learn more about that too, right? Learning about how energy healing works, Reiki, all of the things, right? So, and then I wanted more. And that's when I was guided to the Chopra Center because I really wanted to know the science behind all of these things. I knew, okay, even though I know how powerful and real energy healing is, how real angel cards are, Akashic records, how real the messages are that we receive, that our souls really do make these plans for us before we incarnate and choose to come to this lifetime to live a life beyond our wildest dreams and experience the full range of emotions, right? So all of these things, I could go on forever. So I'll reel it back in. But wherever you're at on your journey, you guys, I promise you, like if I can receive a miracle of my obsession to drink being removed and to receive happiness, you can do whatever it is that you want with your life. Okay. So tune out that noise around you and start to listen to that inner calling within. Okay. Because I promise you, this stuff is proven. I studied the science about it. I was obsessed with debunking it because I knew there were going to be people who need these tools who wouldn't make it to different 12-step program rooms or wouldn't make it to different spiritual teachers or wouldn't go to the Chopra Center or retreats to really study these things. And I followed the calling of my Dharma, which was to make it readily accessible for people in the ways that are fun for them, not necessarily the traditional methods and not necessarily the locked in structural programming. So I now give teachers the freedom to use whatever combination of these proven methods they feel called to use in order to hold space for other people to manifest and remember their best life path as well.
Wow. That's such an incredible story. And there's so many beautiful, beautiful nuggets of wisdom there. And just the understanding, like in the experience, how sometimes we really need to hit this rock bottom in order to allow ourselves to change. And that's when the miracle begins, when you like make that decision, right? And then all of a sudden things start to align and your eyes are open to things that were maybe always there for you, right? Like you said, like your intuition was always there. Like the downloads were there just waiting for you. It was just you weren't ready for it
Yes.
yet. You needed
Yes.
to be in that space.
The miracles are always there. So, often, right? And people listening to this, you're going to identify too, as you start to open up and awaken on your path, you're going to start to experience the 1111s, all of the angel numbers. Oh my gosh, that song's playing that. Oh my gosh, that was a message from a loved one, or hearts everywhere, or these little clues from the universe. But the truth is, those signs were always there. Even if you pick a sign, your future self, right? You might start to notice that that could get a little trippy because time doesn't exist, but the signs are always there. You just start to open up to look through life through a new lens of love and a higher frequency to see it. You are the one that starts to have your neural pathways, your brain get more comfortable with what you do want rather than what you don't. So you attract more of what you do want in. And if you want more miracles, you're going to experience them. So I know I do. How about you?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm here for all the miracles, please. And thank you.
Yeah.
So Victoria, you mentioned, I just wanted to find some words for everybody so that we are, we're in this understanding and also in learning something new if we don't know already. But how would you define Dharma?
Yeah, so I would define Dharma as your life purpose. Your life purpose. And I used to not think for my most of my life until that awakening New Year's Eve of 2013 and onward, I didn't think I had a purpose. I remember very clearly going through school thinking that's really cool that other people know what they want to do. I didn't really know, right? But all along our souls are guiding the way. For example, I majored in public speaking, right? Not knowing I would do this work, but I did it thinking I was going to do a different line of work, right? For something. But the universe, I used to be in fundraising. So the universe is always moving you, right? The pieces into place of where you need to be
Yeah.
when we're willing to do it. And it can be scary, but when we leap, the universe leaps back.
Yeah. And I think that what you said about like you felt like you didn't have a purpose, I think that there's a lot of people that can really resonate with that. I know that I have a ton of people that come into the shop, a ton of clients that are like, I'm like, all right, well, like, tell me like what lights you up? And they're like, I don't know. Right.
Right,
And it's this almost like lack of knowing who you are at your core because you've either worn so many masks to
right,
just fit in.
right,
Or you've always done for everybody else and you never took the chance to get to know yourself. Or you just didn't think you were worth getting to know, right? And it's
right.
one of these things I think that it really falls into this bucket. And I would think that as you're on like the journey that you were on, that in the moment of New Year's Eve,
Yes.
all of a sudden things started to shift as
Yes.
as you began to get to know who you actually were.
Yes, 100%. And anybody listening, if you don't know, if you feel that way, or you're not sure, you feel like you have a clue, keep following it. And if you're not sure, just your willingness, just listening to this right now. And if you set that intention, hey, I would like to learn more about my purpose. I feel like I don't have a purpose, but if I do, that's it. Because all you need is that willingness. So just open up to it because you do. But maybe you're at the point where you say, okay, well, maybe. And if I do, right, I'm open to clarity on what that is. And I also love if you're feeling the call, I help you channel what your purpose is to remember that, to remember channeling your own Akashic records, but to really help you remember on your own, right? To stay in your power because we actually all have the ability to remember the plan that our soul made for us. And then I love to verify it with like the numerology of it because we have our soul path, which is the path that we're walking, our soul destiny, the path we're destined to walk, right? But you probably have a question like I had, which is, okay, right? And maybe you've gone to a psychic before and they said something was going to happen, but it didn't. That's where free will comes into play. So, this is where the Ayurvedic lifestyle and the alchemy tools come in because we have to make different free will choices on our path.
Yeah, for sure. So, can you explain what Ayurveda is and talk about, just talk about that if you could, and then we'll kind of go into how you utilize it
Yeah,
in the programs that you have.
100%. So, I love, so it's so funny. So Ayurveda, Ayurveda, like that's
Yeah.
Ayurveda. That's what I used to say at the Chopra Center. So it can be a mouthful, and it actually, it just so you know what it translates. It translates to science of life, is what Ayurveda
Mm.
translates to. So it literally translates to the science of life, and it's pronounced Ayurveda. Okay. And it's derived from the Vedic text, which are the oldest known doctrines that all spiritual works, including Chinese medicine, yoga, everything is derived from. So Ayurveda is the OG, I like to say, of everything. And it's a consciousness based system of healing. Okay, that teaches us that we can all tap into our inner healers and we can all make better lifestyle choices to come back to our natural state of equilibrium, our natural state of balance. And that natural state is perfect health. It is love. It is living your happiest, most affluent, most healthiest lifestyle. That's what Ayurveda is. And how awesome is that?
Yeah, amazing. So, how does someone go about figuring out what their Ayurveda is? I remember I got like an Ayurvedic facial once,
Yeah.
and it was like, you're more fire than this. I'm like,
Yeah.
fix it, please. Like, I don't know what to do.
Right. So it can be so like Chinese medicine or anything else, right? It can be a little confusing. That's how I felt when I went. So I went to the Chopra Center. I followed that call because I knew I needed to learn the science just for my own. I knew I needed more to instill more of a belief system in this work. But for me, I went because I wanted to learn the science behind the energy healing, angel cards, these messages, Akashic records, all of these things. Now, when I went there, most of the people, there was over 500 people. There were at the time mandatory in-person retreats you had to do. So it was a big leap. Like I had to commit to like leaving my job, going, flying, like all of these things. And it was overwhelming because my whole life I was never into the food part. So if you are, great, lean into whatever everyone's path, that's your dharma. Everyone's dharma, your purpose is you have a unique life purpose. And all of these things that you're experiencing in life are helping you to bring that purpose to life in your unique way. Okay. But when I went there, they were teaching more of the Ayurveda that teaches food, which most people associate Ayurveda with, which is gut health, keeping your Agni, which is your gut fire, strong. And what that means is it can burn through, right? So Tiffany just mentioned excess fire. So this is where Ayurveda can be tricky, but I have great news because I simplified it. But so in Ayurveda, if you have excess fire, what Tiffany just mentioned, that is called a pitta imbalance. And all we have to do is pacify, lower the element of fire in the body. So Ayurveda teaches, we're all made of the same elements of nature. We're all in that, the way that flowers don't try to bloom, right? We just have everything seamlessly come to us. But sometimes those elements can get out of balance. So if you have, think about the element fire, okay? So it's hot, it's spicy, right? It moves, all of these things. So would be the pitta dosha. So we all have different dosha types. I help you identify that as well. And your dosha is a different combination of all of these energy types, right? So without getting into all of that, let's just stay focused on the element of fire. So a negative excess fire is, for me, when I'm agitated, right? That's how I know I'm in a pitta mental imbalance. If you're angry about something, that just means you got to alchemize that pitta and bring it back into balance so you feel really good and radiant again. A pitta imbalance, a fire imbalance in the physical body, heartburn, right? It would look like heartburn, agita. It could also manifest as rashes in the body. It could also manifest as acne or breakouts, right? So if I start to break out, right, I know, okay, a little excess fire. What do we have to do to lower that in the moment, right? And then the good fire is your gut fire, your Agni fire, which all of Ayurvedic lifestyle works to help you naturally keep it really strong. Because with a strong gut fire, it doesn't matter what life experience or what soul assignment we are excelling through, you'll be able to process it and move through life completely seamlessly. So, of course, the digestion and all of the other things. So, again, this is just touching on one little part, just the element of fire. So you can imagine how my head was spinning because I was like, wait, nutrition, all of these things, right? So I needed a way to simplify it. And I was guided. I went through one of the scariest times of my life. Wasn't actually when I wanted to quit life. It wasn't in, those years leading up to 2013 that I thought was my bottom. The scariest time in my life was when I had all of these tools, when I was at the Chopra Center and I was studying Ayurveda and I had all of these, awakenings already. And all of a sudden, all of my fears came back. All of a sudden, I didn't know I was going through ascension symptoms, but I had, just like strong shifts going on. And no one there, they were able to help me, right? I was guided to Dr. Patel, who's amazing, and they gave me all these herbal medicines. So that's one route Ayurveda can take you. Okay, a little herb, this will balance the holy basil and this and that at the time. So you have to know yourself. So all of this comes back to trusting your intuition, which Ayurveda also helps you unlock, right? All of this goes hand in hand. So always listen to what you know you're actually going to do. I knew I wasn't going to start taking all of these herbal remedies, and I knew I wasn't going to start eating different. So I really called in a miracle, and I was pissed at my spirit guides. And I remember they were showing me 1111, and I was like, F you. Like, I don't ever want to feel this way again. I don't care about these signs if I'm feeling this way. Like, my head spinning, like, this, there has to be a better way. Miracles are real. I know this now. Show me a simpler way. And I was guided to the beach, and that's when I really I received the download very clear Ayurvedic alchemy years prior, but I didn't know what it was. And at this point in the stage in my journey, that's when I started to create what I now teach in Ayurvedic alchemy level 1 and level 2, which is putting a combination of these tools together and learning to trust yourself as a clear channel to really know what tool do you need. Do you need to lean into the elements of Ayurveda to balance your dosha in that way? Are you focused on the food part of your lifestyle, right? Is it the meditation part? Or if you're avoiding meditation, right? It's thinking of it as you learn how to create a sacred space. So you have all different proven alchemy methods that you can go to clear the anxiety, not just from your mindset, but from the physical body. Because when we can do that and create an Ayurvedic routine in the morning, which is what Ayurvedic alchemy helps you do, is every single morning tap in. Because if we balance the vata dosha, there's 3 doshas: vata, pitta, kapha. You don't even need to know what your imbalance is. If it's fire, water, air, space, whatever it is, you don't need to know. You just need to be able to feel into what you need to come back to feeling good fast, right? And if you can do that, right, when we balance just the vata dosha in the morning, if you can confront your anxieties right away and stick with the same routine in the morning, even if you mix up the tools, that morning routine, right? It's known as, I think I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but dinachara in Ayurveda, morning routine. If you can master this, and we do it in 21 days of living even better, if you can master this, you will balance your vata dosha. So challenge yourself right now. Start a routine, because that will balance vata dosha. Now your vata dosha, which is akasha, space, and air, right? That's when you have ADD, right? In the mental and physical, it's constipation, too much air in the body. So if you can balance the vata through routine, guess what? The vata balances every other dosha. So it's a little hack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
So sorry,
awesome.
I could talk about
Wow.
this forever. So please interrupt me, reel me back in.
Yeah, no, I think that it's so interesting, and really the whole thing of it is that, we have all of this going on within our bodies, and the beauty of it is that we are meant to be whole and healthy, right? So, and there are things that we can do, whether it's spiritual aspects, whether it's like physical, like the foods that we eat and things like that, to be able to bring ourselves back to that state of wholeness. And I love that, right? It puts the power back into your hands, whether
Yeah.
the words and what it is. It's just the message that I'm hearing is like the power is in your hands to feel good, to be healthy in all of the areas of your life, right? But it's up to you. And like you've mentioned a few times about being like willing, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to be the willing participant in your journey. I
Yes.
say that all the time as well. Like you have to be the one that's like nobody's going to force you to do this.
Yep.
Like you have to make the choice for yourself because of that free will. So what does your programs really like look like as people are incorporating some of these things into their life?
100%. Well, something just really quick, I feel guided to touch on something important that you just said. So Tiffany just shared, you might not be familiar with the words. I wasn't either. And I'm sure Tiffany wasn't when you started this journey, but what happens is you feel it. So you might not know what Dharma is or Ayurveda or Pitta, Vata, all these things. It doesn't freaking matter. What matters is you feel that ignition inside of you, and you're like, ooh, that feels good. That feels right. Let me explore more of that. And that is how you can continue to effortlessly live your best life path, is following that. When I heard Deepak talking about about this, right? Or if you're listening to Joe Dispenza or Tiffany or whoever it is, you're listening to a spiritual teacher and you're like, you're listening to us right now. And you're, I don't know what they're talking about or what that means, but I feel it and I want more of that. Follow it. I had no idea what Deepak was saying, but I knew I was supposed to bring this to other people, even though I didn't understand it. It was so scary to study Ayurveda. Ayurveda, I was like, wait, it was huge, right? But I promise you, when you trust that, you will be led back to it. So I have many different programs at nextlevelhappy.com that help to simplify what Ayurveda lifestyle is, and just to like simplify it right now, Ayurvedic lifestyle, it's a combination of a little bit of meditation. It suggests 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night, right? Really 30, but let's be a little realistic. And I knew I still wasn't going to do that. That's why I created Ayurvedic Alchemy, right? You can do it in your own way. But it says 20 minutes in the morning and at night, a little bit of cardio, some yoga stretching, right? To alchemize, and then eating foods that are mostly base sourced from the earth. So foods, colors of the rainbows, food sourced from earth, and then learning what foods can bring you back into balance. So right now, in this moment in time, we're transitioning from fall into winter. So warming foods, all of the foods that are going to help to balance that vata, right? That we spoke about. And again, you don't need to know what it is. Just start to, let me just start to observe how I feel and what I need. That's a really good place to start with Ayurveda, I think. And if anybody else wants to learn about their Akashic records, or how Ayurveda works, or you want to learn about your dosha, I'll make sure to send Tiffany a way that you could have a little mini complimentary session with me to get some angel cards and learn more about Ayurveda.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll put all of that in the show notes for sure. So, Ayurvedic alchemy. So that is not food based, right? Or is it food
No.
based?
Well, it can be if you go through it and you want to learn food based, you can, right? So when you go all in and you know you want to learn about this, in that program, I include for you a course on Ayurvedic lifestyle. I no longer really get lit up by that. And I teach more about that if you're expanding your business in level 2, actually leaning into what lights you up to monetize your Dharma at the next level. That's very important too. So because I'm not really excited, and this could change next month, maybe, right? This version of me, that future version, might be excited by food, and then I might do a food course. But for right now, I personally feel called to, I give you guys that in the lifestyle course. So you can go in and it's the slides from the Chopra Center. I take you through it. It's a very robust, in-depth course that I used to run called Soul Boot Camp, which teaches you all about Ayurvedic lifestyle. You take the dosha quiz, all of those fun things. And then that's included in Ayurvedic Alchemy Level 1 in case you feel really called to that food part. And then I love to help guide people. I'm an affiliate also for Institute of Integrative Nutrition, who merged with Chopra. If you want to learn about food, right, that's the place for you, or if you feel guided to another teacher. But this Ayurvedic alchemy, right, really goes into learning all of it and the practice. If you want to teach it, right, or if you're not ready to teach it, it helps you master your own, I don't even want to call it meditation practice, I guess spiritual practice, because I never wanted to meditate. When Deepak was like, meditate 20 minutes in the morning at night, I rolled my eyes. I was like, I'm not going to effing do this, right?
Mhm.
So Ayurvedic alchemy, again, helps you do it and learn how to do it in your own ways. So you're going to learn how to create the sacred space learning Reiki, right? Lots of Reiki masters have gone through it, also beginners. It doesn't matter. There's no, right? Like this is all about really letting go of the titles, not just going through another certification course because you just want to learn more, but this is really about putting it into action to help people. It creates a sensory experience, right? Because that's where our thoughts come from, is our sensory experience. So you're learning how to help people come back into their body, clear their fear, right? What tool do they need? Is it a little tapping on energetic points? Is it using a visual experience? Is it sound healing, right? What tool does your client group or yourself in this moment need, or what combination of chanting, breath work, right? Do you need the mantra? Do you need the traditional primordial sound meditation, right? Which do you need, and what combination to come back to feeling good fast? Because for me personally, the traditional meditation, so hum, I had a shit ton, excuse my language, of anxiety and turbulent thoughts that I wasn't able to just drop into that as easily as other people were. And I also knew I wasn't always going to have, an hour or hour and a half to dedicate to a really powerful Kundalini traditional exercise. And I knew that there had to be an easier way to do it. And there was. And Spirit showed me how. Right. And I answered my call to give it to you guys. And I let other teachers teach it, because this is all about just creating ripple effects of love on earth. And when we get 1 billion people doing this work, the world is proven. Deepak did the math. All the physicists did the math, the quantum scientists. The world, it can shift to peace. And when I heard that, right, so maybe this is this moment, if you're listening and hearing it for the first time, I really doubled down on my purpose. I was like, whoa, world peace is possible. Like, let's effing go. Let's do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, and I love that, like, okay, I can be a part of this, and I'm also going to train people to be a part of this, because at the end of the day, the mission is you're living out your Dharma, you're living out your mission to bring more light to this earth. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yes. And
I
thank
love
you
it.
for answering your call. And anybody else on here, like, if you're feeling that call, it's because you're seeing that light that you are in Tiffany or me. It's the world needs you. And nobody can share your story or use your unique life experiences in the way that you can. And the world needs you now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. 1,000,000%. Wow. Victoria, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I'm so appreciative of everything you've given us today. How can everybody follow along and get to know, get to know you a little bit more about what you're doing? How can they
Yeah.
follow you?
So you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Victoria Manifest. My last name's Mann, Mann. So it has 2 N's in Manifest, Victoria Manifest. Or you could go to nextlevelhappy.com and find me there. And you could also email me if you have any questions at happy@nextlevelhappy.com. And is it okay? Can I pull a card for everybody on the
Yeah,
podcast
please.
now? I'll pull some
Yeah.
cards for the group. So I always call on guidance of the highest good, truth, and compassion. Beautiful. So let's see what everybody on here needs. My guides are like, you and Tiffany already covered it. There's nothing stopping us but ourselves. There's nothing in our way, right? But our own unwillingness to move through the discomfort, right? To alchemize it. So I just got the message before and shared, and I'll share it here. The universe, I don't like to say the universe tests us, but what the universe will do is it will ask, are you ready? What do you want? How are you going to respond to this? And are you ready to truly receive what you want? Meaning, are you taking the action in alignment with that? So this card, whoever's manifesting romance or we're wondering if you should take action, definitely take action. This is the Prince of Spring card. So it says immediate action, a challenge you can successfully manage, a passionate relationship, right? So if you want to manifest a loving relationship, right? That was one of my biggest things that I was trying to manifest that I thought wouldn't happen. And it's when you know you have everything that you need right now and you go be that energy of love. If you want to manifest love, go and be it. You are love, right? If you want to manifest more peace, go and try and be that peace yourself. Money, go and feel so abundant today. Notice how you feel about money as you move throughout the day and alchemize it as it comes up. So a challenge you can successfully manage, because I'm hearing a quote from A Course in Miracles for you guys, which is, if you knew who walked beside you, you would feel no fear. You are not alone on your path, and you can allow in that help just through asking right now whenever you need freedom. the freedom to go in any direction. What is freedom? What does freedom even mean for you right now? When I say that word, get clear on that, because to me, freedom is being able to always enjoy life, right? Freedom is the ability to do what we want, when we want, and feel good doing it. Freedom, right? I started this because freedom to me is being happy. I used to think happiness was impossible, right? So freedom is knowing. One of my affirmations on my phone just popped up. I'm being guided to share with everybody. Freedom is knowing that every day gets to be your lucky day. Freedom is
Hmm.
knowing, right, that the better it gets, the better it gets, that the universe truly wants to give you more. And the last card that I have for everyone here is decision. Oh my gosh, this image is powerful. So it's this bird flying out of a cage. So breaking free from your own cages, breaking free of the limiting belief of other people around you, any fear tornadoes that the world has taught us, whatever it is, release yourself from that which holds you back. A need to detox. That's what Ayurveda teaches us. You lower the ama, the toxicity, you increase your ojas, happiness on a cellular level. And then it says unnecessary worry based on a lack of self confidence. So the truth is, we never really have to worry about anything, but we're having this human experience. So it's okay, right? If you are, you just notice it. And then, oh, what alchemy tool, what Ayurvedic alchemy tool do I need to come back into my state? Or maybe you want to stay in the shitty feeling, right? Like grief is a different beast. I get it, right? Like I get it. So honor where you're at.
Thank you so much for that reading. That was so great. Guys, make sure that you are following Victoria, that you reach out to her, let her know like what really stuck out to you the most, and everything that she was saying. And of course, reach out to Spirit and Soul. Let us know, what really stuck with you today. We would love to hear that, and we will pass it along to Victoria as well. And Victoria, just thank you again for your light. Thank you for everything that you are doing for the world. I really so appreciate you.
Oh my gosh. And thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the physical healing experience I had with you at
Oh, you're
your
so welcome. Oh, thank you so much.
everyone
All
go to
right.
soul.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, everybody come to Spirit and Soul. So, all
Yeah,
right, guys. Please let us know all the things. We love to hear from you, and we will see you on the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast.
beautiful. Satnam.